25% of children in the UK live in poverty, so in a class of 24, 6 of the pupils are living in poverty.
Imagine what impact this could have on their education and everyday life. For example, Scenario 1. A child hasn't had anything to eat in the morning and therefore comes to school hungry. This has an impact on their ability to concentrate, therefore means they are getting poorer education. Furthermore, by the time they start school, this child has already fallen behind their classmates. As they get older, the education gap widens, leaving them with an unfair disadvantage.
Scenario number 2. A child wants to invite their friends over for dinner. However, there's no food left in that house. This leaves the child feeling excluded from social activities and therefore eroding their self-esteem. Just remember, what most take for granted, such as warm clothing, extracurricular activities such as dance or football, these children do not have access to. This creates a gap between them and the other children, an unfair, colossal gap, restricting them of the opportunities everyone deserves.
Let's look at the statistics. In 2016, more than a quarter of children in Scotland were living in relative poverty after housing costs. This year, thousands of articles have emerged regarding this issue, and the BBC have recently called the rise in child poverty in Scotland devastating.
The Guardian also states that child poverty in the UK is at its highest level since 2010. Justin Watson, the head of Oxfam's UK programme, said there are now more people in poverty in the UK than there have been for almost 20 years, and 1 million more than at the beginning of the decade.
Poverty can have a large impact on the physical health of children too. This is shown by the fact that 3-year-olds in households with incomes below around £10,000 are 2.5 times more likely to suffer chronic illness than children in households with incomes of about £52,000.
Furthermore, the infant mortality is 10% higher for infants in the lower social groups than average. This is often caused by bad housing, lack of nutritious food, stress, or poor sanitation. Of course, physical health is not the only problem which arises from poverty. Mental health is very common amongst different members of society. In fact, 1 in 4 people in the UK suffer from mental health. So what about children living in poverty?
12% of children living in low-income families exhibit high levels of emotional disorders or anxiety, compared to 7% of children living in high-income families. Furthermore, almost a quarter of children living in poverty feel less useful or less important in comparison to children from more affluent backgrounds. However, only 1 in 10 mental health trusts consider children in poverty as a priority group.
Many studies show that this links in with the self-esteem of a child living in poverty. Childhood has always been a time of progressing to adulthood and discovering new things. However, children living in poverty do not have the same access to resources as children from more affluent backgrounds, making them feel excluded from society. This can have a long-term effect on these children's lives. For example, they might not have access to the internet in order to apply for a job because it is simply too expensive, resulting in no employment.
Poverty has many negative consequences for children. When they progress from childhood to adulthood, these worries and issues will stay with them, resulting in a difficult lifestyle. Another example of this is that 60% of families in the bottom income quintile would like, but cannot afford, to take their children on holiday for 1 week a year, or even just taking them on a day out can be difficult.
So remember, poverty affects 1 in 4 children in the UK today. Imagine what impact this will have on not only their childhood, but their future.
Children in poverty are more likely to have mental health issues by the age of 3. 3. Imagine how that would feel, how you would feel growing up like these children.